Vanguard offers several popular small-cap ETFs, namely VB, VIOO, and VTWO. Is there one that reigns supreme? Let's find out. So first, let's talk about what exactly we're looking for in a Vanguard small-cap ETF. First, we want sufficient assets under management, or AUM, and liquidity to avoid the risk of fund closure and large bid-ask spreads. Secondly, we probably want our underlying index to have some form of earnings screen. Small-cap growth stocks with weak profitability have been the worst performing segment of the market historically, so it may be best to try to weed those out. Thirdly, all else equal, we should obviously prefer a lower average market cap, meaning the fund is holding smaller stocks. Loading on the size factor comes into play here too. In other words, how effectively has the fund been able to capture the actual size premium? Lastly, we obviously want to consider fees, though not necessarily in an absolute sense. Basically, how much small cap bang are we getting for our buck? So now let's look at our specific funds and run them through these aforementioned criteria. Regarding AUM and liquidity, conveniently all three of our funds here are very popular, so liquidity is not a concern. In fact, the least popular fund of these three still has nearly $2 billion in assets. First, let's break down VB. It's called the Vanguard Small-Cap ETF. The fund seeks to track the CRSP US Small Cap Index. This index is pretty simple. It's just the bottom 2 to 15% of the investable US stock universe by market cap. This means VB actually ends up skewing mid-cap with a weighted average market cap of $6.7 billion, over 2 times that of the other two funds here. VB's comparative factor loading corroborates this fact, with much lower exposure to the size factor compared to both VIOO and VTWO. Now let's talk about VTWO. It's called the Vanguard Russell 2000 ETF. As the name suggests, this ETF seeks to track the famous Russell 2000 index, holding the 2,000 smallest stocks by market cap from the broader Russell 3000. Like the CRSP index that VB uses, the Russell 2000 index does not have a dedicated earnings screen. However, it's inarguably holding smaller stocks than VB. Its weighted average market cap is about $3.2 billion. Lastly, we've got VIOO. This is the Vanguard S&P Small Cap 600 ETF. It seeks to track the S&P Small Cap 600 index. This index captures roughly 600 stocks within the small cap universe selected by an S&P committee. Unlike the other two funds, VIOO does employ some earnings screens to ensure financial viability. This gives the fund small positive loading across profitability and investment, while VB and VTWO both have negative loading for these. VIOO also conveniently has the lowest average market cap at about $2.5 billion and the greatest loading on the size factor, meaning it is capturing the smallest stocks with robust profitability. VIOO also actually slightly tilts value, so we should inarguably prefer the more effective exposure of VTWO and VIOO, but of course they happen to come with a higher price tag. That said, higher in this context is still comparatively very low. Specifically, VB has a fee of 0.05% or 5 basis points, while both VTWO and VIOO have a fee of 0.10%. In short, in considering which Vanguard small cap ETF to buy, VTWO and VIOO provide much more bang for our buck compared to VB and are very much worth the slightly higher fee in my opinion. Since VTWO and VIOO have the same fee, I see no reason not to prefer VIOO. I always say backtest shouldn't mean much, but it may also comfort you to know that VIOO has outperformed VB and VTWO historically as well on both a general and risk-adjusted basis. Conveniently, all three of these funds should be available at any major broker. Do you own any of these Vanguard small cap ETFs? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Some of the links below are referral links at no additional cost to you. If you choose to make a purchase or sign up for a service, after clicking through those links, I may receive a small commission. This allows me to continue producing high quality content on this channel and pays for the occasional cup of coffee. I have first-hand experience with every product or service I recommend, and I recommend them because I genuinely believe they are useful.